And welcome to the VSA Capital 5-Minute Morning Miner on Wednesday, April the 12th. Still quite a lot of people away for the Easter break. I'm back in London. The weather turned horrible yesterday in Cornwall, so I beat a hasty retreat to London. Paul, how are you?
Well, not too bad, thank you. Nice and bright and sunny this morning, but the weather's supposed to change to that Cornwall weather, I understand.
I think the Cornwall weather is heading up here, and it's going to be a very, very windy bike ride back. But let's get cracking because there's lots of news today we need to talk about, really. Let's start off with the Carlsberg of mining. If Carlsberg did mining, this would be it. Central Asia Metals, Camel. Bit of a Q1 operations update today, wasn't there? And it all looks pretty good.
Yes, that's right. Q1 Ops update from Central Asia Metals. They focus most of their time in the press release on the Sasa mine in North Macedonia, lead zinc operation. Mine head grades for the period were 2.95% zinc and 3.6% lead. No lost time injuries at either the Sasa mine or the Kunred mine in Kazakhstan. Concentrate production of zinc was just over 4,900 tons, and lead concentrate production at Sasa was 6,600 tons. They've maintained full year guidance there on copper, zinc, and lead concentrates. So it looks like it's going to be pretty steady state production going forward there on that. And they will be commissioning the paste backfill plant here during this month. So we'll see what kind of progress they have there, because that's one of the key things that the Sasa mine can do, both to reduce its carbon footprint, but also to reduce its tailings area needs as well by putting some of that back underground.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a management team that just gets it right. Some people say they're not that exciting, but to me, just getting it right the whole time actually is pretty exciting. I have no issues with that whatsoever. So obviously everyone would love them to do another deal because they are so talented, but taking their time to find the right one. Can't totally blame them. Moving on, Paul, Millennial Potash. This is the same management team that made shareholders a huge amount of money in Millennial Lithium, where we basically helped sell it to the Chinese. This is their new venture, this management team, Millennial Potash. What's the news today, Paul?
Yes, they put out a press release that they have reopened the existing exploration camp on this southeast Gabon potash project that had been established down there. They essentially took over an existing exploration program from another player not quite a year ago here. There is a drill rig on site as part of the plant fixtures that is being refurbished to re-enter historic hole 4. The intent of which is to remount that hole, resample it, and deepen it further. They have also put a new rig on order that has already arrived at port in Gabon, and this will be then used to deepen that hole for even further, as well as to add to the rig fleet for drilling operations this year. So ramping up activity in order to define even further that existing potash resource.
Well, it's going to be one to watch because it's a very talented management team and they make shareholders money. We like that. Now, also, Bushveld Minerals. Lots of people, well, certainly used to follow it. Less, I think, nowadays. It's come back so far. It's always been very complicated how they have owned what it's got various names, Enerox or Cellcube, but it's basically their vanadium flow battery business. It looks, Paul, as though they're sort of basically now allowing Mustang Energy, which is listed on the UK, to acquire 100% of this business, but the shareholders of Enerox are switching their holdings into Mustang. But it's always been very complicated, the whole share structure of this. Have I basically got that right? Have you got anything to add?
Yeah, that's a pretty good synopsis right there. When the deal is done, Bushveld will hold between 21 and 23% of Mustang, and then the ownership structure will be a lot simpler, which otherwise puts a clearer set of distinction separating Bushveld's mining and smelting operations from the Enerox Vector, which is primarily energy storage business. So it's designed to make it cleaner for investors to support whichever side of the interest they wish to.
Yeah, I mean, Mustang obviously is suspended at the moment. They need to put out a prospectus to get readmission. Bear in mind, of course, Bushveld at one stage owned a similar sort of position in Invinity Energy Systems, our corporate client, in order to get the merger done between Red T and Avalon. And as soon as it was done and the new prospectus out, whatever, they started selling and getting out. I'm not saying they will in this situation, but they do have a track record, which is worth just bearing in mind. For what it's worth, it's not really mining, but Invinity Energy Systems today announced the winning of the LODES contract, which is a UK government deal. They get an £11 million grant funding. It'll be for a 30 megawatt battery, which is the biggest they've done yet, 6 times the size of Oxford. The stock has jumped up about 15% this morning. Definitely deservedly so, because that one is, they are becoming, Invinity, there's no question about, are the lead vanadium flow battery company probably in the world. Okay, going back to mining, Paul. Anything else you want to mention this morning?
Just really quick to say that it came out yesterday that because of some court issues that had developed in Canada, the financier has backed out of Rambler Metals and Mining to provide any further financial support. So Rambler has in fact filed for creditor protection, i.e. bankruptcy. Rambler had been a long-time player here in the London markets here with the eventual finding and development of the Ming mine there in Newfoundland. But now it looks like it's last hours or last minutes for Rambler as a producing entity here at this point in time. And the other thing I wanted to mention too is a nice successful raise by the TSX listed Nouveau Monde with a $22 million US raise in order to further advance its graphite project there in Quebec.
Okay, it's also just perhaps quickly worth mentioning, First Tin had their figures today. It's still in exploration phase, so small loss, but I wouldn't be too worried about that. And also Caledonian Mining have successfully, haven't they, closed out their Zimbabwean fundraise, which they needed to do for local shareholder.
Yes, and not a bad raise either at just over 5.8 million US. So that's pretty good.
Yeah. And then actually finally, maybe Paul, maybe just to wrap it up, we've been obviously talking all year about how bullish we are on the silver price. Silver really is starting to move now, isn't it? $25.20. At this level, pure silver producers are absolutely loving it. And I think it's going to go higher. I see silver at $30. But obviously, we all know it's Guanajuato silver is the stock to buy. It is still absurdly cheap in London compared with the TSX quote. In fact, I think it's fair to say that VSA Capital are probably going to start buying on their own book today, because if nobody else wants to correct the arbitrage, we will do it ourselves. Dare I say it, though, the market makers will probably try and put up no stock because they're not going to want to be caught short the stock that's about to jump 30 or 40%. That's the way this bloody market works nowadays. And on that note, Paul, we'll speak again tomorrow.
Very good. We'll see you then.